Hey, how you doing? This is Chris. You know the expression, give an inch to take a mile, give them a rope, they want to be a cowboy? It seems that no matter what comes out, whatever new hotness hits the scene, there's going to be two groups of people that show up. The ones that want to help you take advantage of it, and the ones that want to use it to take advantage of you. And voice search is the new hotness, and I want to make sure that you're up to speed on what it is, what it isn't, and how to tell the difference between those two groups of people. Because if your experience is like mine, people are just blowing up. You're getting robocalls all over the place. You're getting a bunch of emails hitting your spam folder and such like that. So at some point you may say to yourself, what is this? Let me see if I can explore it just a little bit. And I want to make sure that when that moment, if it does come, when it comes, you'll know what it is you'll need to know to be, as they say, forearmed because you've been forewarned. Okay, that was a little left of center, but anyway. All right, so let's see. We're going to do two things. One, I want to start my timer because I'm long-winded, and I want to make sure that I don't just run along for the heck of it. And two, I want to point a resource at you. There we go, voicesearch.com. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, now voicesearch.com, don't get it twisted, don't get excited. It's just a website by some dude who threw this up. And it's a really great resource, but it's not really made a lot for non-geeks like me or non-industry professionals. It's made for, that's a lot of the stuff that they point out at you are for people who are going to do something for someone else. However, there is some goodness on this page that I want to point out to you. All right, so before I get into that, let's talk about what voice search is. It's just using the internet or doing searches online using a digital assistant. That's it. And when someone says they want to help you optimize for voice search, what they should mean is that they want to help make sure that you're set up so that when someone uses a digital assistant, your voice search engine optimization is just as solid as your regular search engine optimization, meaning that there's information on your website that's going to ping based on what people are going to say, and that where people are going to be directed when you do a search, that you're set up properly there. And I'll use Amazon to give you an example. That should bring it all home. Now, there's a bunch of digital assistants out there, a bunch of voice searches. Apple has Siri, Google has Google Go or Google Now, Alexa from Amazon, obviously, and Cortana is from Microsoft. All of these exist, and depending on what device you're using, you're going to touch base with each one of those. But let's use Amazon, just an example. Amazon doesn't have its own search engine. It doesn't even have its own browser. So if you ask Alexa a question, where's it going to get the information? It's not just going to Amazon.com, obviously. Well, believe it or not, Alexa goes to Bing if you ask it a question that it needs to go to the internet to look up. And if you ask it a qualitative type, business type question, like what's the best Thai restaurant near me, it's going to go to Yelp. So in order to optimize for Alexa, that means that you need to be optimized for how Bing sees you and optimized for what you look like on Yelp. And what I mean by what you look like on Yelp, when it says who's the best, it's going to look at your reviews. It's going to look at what people have been saying for you. It's going to look at what you look like on Yelp and make a decision from there. So optimizing for voice search, as far as that platform is concerned, is not going to some place called voice search and taking care of it. It's making sure that you're set up for those particular platforms. And the same goes for all of the other ones. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if someone comes to you and say they want to optimize you for voice search, and you say, what are you going to do? Help me out with that. And they just keep talking in circles about how important voice search is and stuff like that, you know that they're basically just blowing smoke. If they say, we're going to make sure that you look, that you're optimized for how people search on certain platforms, now you're talking to someone who's actually going to do something, going to roll their sleeves up and take a look at things. Now, what I want to do before I bounce out of here is give you an example of one of the things they would do. It's actually something you can do that actually falls in line with some of the stuff I tell you about in my coaching course. And it has to do with how do you find out what people are asking for? And like I said, when people search using voice, it's different than when they type it in. If I'm looking for a Thai restaurant near me and I'm typing, I'm saying, hey, Thai restaurant near me. That's all I'm going to type. But if I'm talking into my phone and we'll say, hey, Siri, where's the nearest Thai restaurant? I'm going to say a phrase like that. Well, where do you find those phrases? Because there's people could say 1,000 things. I'm going to give you one resource. I'm going to show you this page right here. Now, let's talk about this page. This is a curated bunch of content from across the internet that this particular gentleman, who does what I do, but he just happened to be bright enough to register voicesearch.com and start putting all this information in place. Because he put all this information in place, he's going to have a bunch of people interested in this coming to his website, which exposes them to him, generates business. That's how this game is played. However, he did put a nice piece of real estate here with a lot of cool pieces of information. And I'm going to give you just one nugget on where to go, because a lot of this information is built for people who do what I do, not people who do what you do. But there is still some goodness here. So here's one resource out of everything on this page. Let's go to General and Beginner Resources. Come on, give it to me. And then let's go voice search and again, there's a bunch of stuff here. Is your content prepared for the verbal revolution? Okay. I'm not going to leave you here because again, there's a whole bunch of information here, but just one research. Scroll down here till you get to the bald-headed guy. Not this bald-headed guy. This bald-headed guy. A simple tool, a simple technique that you can do, and somebody who's going to help you out would do, is to set up frequently asked questions pages. You're like, frequently asked question page. Well, where would you get your questions? Time to start wrapping this puppy up. Where would you get your questions from? Well, you would get your questions from the same place I told you you'd get your questions from. If you're saying, hey, where do I get my topics from? You go to Answer the Public, or you could go to Google. And let's see. And because let's just do the Google thing. You create a page on your website, and let's use the example I was doing. Oh, there it is. What's the best Thai restaurant near me? Yeah, I typed this in before. And you go down until you get to the People Also Ask box. And what do you have here? The exact phrases that people have actually typed into their computer or talked into their phone. Because Google is always with the new hotness. So whatever people are doing the most of, it highlights. And don't forget, click, more questions. Click, more questions. So you simply do create a frequently asked questions page with the questions that you see on this page. And because a lot of these pages, or these questions are kind of redundant, you go for the essence and pick the ones that you want. And I guess start at the top and work your way down. So that's what you would be expecting to hear from someone who says they're going to help you optimize for voice search. If you don't get that kind of feedback from them, they're just trying to scam you. That's it in a nutshell, because you're not going to optimize for voice search without touching your properties, because that's what optimizing means. Someone's adjusting your properties from how they're sitting now and how they're positioned now to how they need to be positioned. Your review listings, your website properties, and any other properties that you have a presence on, whether that be Web 2.0 properties like Tumblr or your Instagram, that kind of stuff. Point being, there's goodness to be had in voice search. If you're not going to change anything you've got, if your website looks the same right now as it looked like a year ago, it's probably doesn't mean anything to you, because you're not going to change anything going forward. But if you decide that, now's the time for me to get ahead of this particular curve, then this is the kind of thing that you're looking for. Okay, so if you have any questions, meaning that someone's reached out to you and you're not sure whether it's real or a scam, I'll help you out with that. I'll just give you the unvarnished, this is what it looks like, and you can make your decision from there. Or if you want some assistance from me, if you just want to throw up a frequently asked questions page, especially if I'm doing your website, hook a brother up. I will definitely throw that on your website, because if I'm already doing your website, I may as well throw that page on there. I'm not going to do it if you don't ask me to, but if you ask me to, we'll just figure out which questions you want to put on there, and we'll go from there. It's not that hard. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. Voice search is the thing. It's the way of the future of some sort. I'm not sure how big it's going to be. Nobody is, because the future's funny like that. But if it's something that you think that you want to be positioned properly for, and you want to get started, holler at me, or just be prepared when someone reaches out to you, because people are going to keep reaching out to you. It's just the way it is. All right, I think that's about it. I'm way over my 5 minutes, but hey, it's good information. Hopefully it's something that you can use. If you need me for anything, you know how to get a hold of me, and I'll be here. I'll talk to you next time.